The Sportscast, December 4th. If you haven't yet, please subscribe on all our channels: Periscope, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. We're in all the platforms. You can't complain. We're in iTunes. If you're in iTunes, specifically on iTunes, leave a rating and a review. I think they stand for Stitcher. Move us up. If you're tired of ESPN, write a review and a rating. It will help us out tremendously. And, of course, visit us on the sportscast.net, thesportscast.net, for the latest news. A lot going on this week. College football, coaches are getting fired. They're getting hired. Even NFL coaches are starting to find new jobs as well. So, thesportscast.net. And also, this episode is brought to you by InstaBible and the Lima Christian basketball team. No, we're sponsoring them. Either or. Anyways, it's championship week in college football, where some are vying for a spot in college football playoffs. And some teams have already clinched, in theory, and they don't have to win this weekend. But to flesh that out, to iron that out, we got Ryan Christa. Welcome back to the Sportscast.
Thank you, Santiago. What an exciting time to be a college football fan and a sports fan. Championship week is upon us, and many important football games to be played that will determine the seeding and the participants in the college football playoffs, and also the participants in the New Year's Six bowl games.
Exactly. A lot on the line for several teams. Of course, we're seeing some new teams potentially coming into this playoffs. We know that Ohio State, LSU are in. Clemson is pretty much in, they say. And then that last spot, which could be Georgia, but it's most likely going to be Utah or perhaps Oklahoma. But we'll flesh this out. Let's first start off with the first game. We're going to talk about Virginia-Clemson. Does Clemson have to win this game to go into the playoffs?
Do they have to? I don't think so. I mean, a lot's going to determine, if Utah wins the night before. I think if Utah loses, then, I think they solidify their spot. But I think if Utah wins and Georgia wins, then Clemson probably has to win to stay in. But I don't think they're going to have to worry about that. If they play their A game, they should roll over the Cavaliers pretty handily like they have the rest of the ACC. This team is, I don't think, getting a lot of love nationally, Santiago. Maybe I'm a big Dabble fan and I listen to him too much, but all you're hearing about is LSU, Ohio State. I mean, we're hearing more about Alabama not being in the playoffs than we're hearing about Clemson being in the playoffs, Santiago. This is a defending national championship, a 27-game winning streak. And where's the love for the Tigers? I mean, they are not just beating the ACC foes, they are crushing you. I mean, how many times, I don't know if Trevor Lawrence has played in the fourth quarter in any ACC game other than the game where, their slip-up game against North Carolina, which they ended up winning. Other than that, they are crushing the other team.
Yes, obviously Clemson. The only closest game they had was against NC State. They only won by a point. The Tigers' early season struggles seem like a distant memory. Clemson has been one of the best teams in the country since a close win against North Carolina early in the season. Much of the Tigers' late season success is due to the stellar play of quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Is he a top-rated quarterback still in the country?
I don't know if he's the best quarterback right now necessarily. He's probably the best pro prospect playing college football still. He's still got one more year of college football. I think there was just a lot of pressure early on this year, coming off the national championship, being the number one team in the country. Everybody expected them to come on the field and literally pick up right from that championship game. But if you ever look at Clemson, the way they just get better as the year goes on. If they can survive those early season games, they're going to be okay. Even last year, they had a close game against Syracuse. After that, they were fine. It's like kind of that same time of the year where they almost slipped up against North Carolina. And ever since then, they've been crushing teams. Trevor Lawrence, he's getting 250 yards a game. He would be getting 400 if he played the whole game. He's not, because that's why he's not putting up those gaudy stats. You don't need him to. Travis Etienne is running much better than he did early on this year. They're very balanced. They're hard to stop. T. Higgins, Justin Ross, or and Amari Rogers. Second, probably Alabama is the best receiving core, and then maybe LSU. This is probably the third best receiving core in college football. They're a total package. We thought their defense was going to take a step back, and it really hasn't. They've been playing quite fine. Really not letting any of the ACC teams hang around. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're talking about the ACC being down. Yes, they're down. That's why they're crushing everybody. They're doing their job.
Lawrence has thrown for 2,870 passing yards for 30 touchdowns, while also adding 7 rushing scores. If Virginia has any shot on Saturday, we'll have to find a way to rattle Lawrence. The Cavaliers are coming off a monumental victory over Virginia Tech last weekend. The Hokies had won 15 straight in the rivalry series before Virginia's win on Saturday. How strong is Virginia?
This is a very good football team, San Diego. But it's just a good football team, not a very good football team. A good football team,
Not great, not elite.
Not elite, yeah. Bryce Perkins is an elite quarterback, I believe. He does everything for the Cavaliers. If they're going to stay in the game, he's got to have the game of his life. Defensively, they're fundamentally sound. I don't believe they have enough playmakers on the cornerback spot. They lost their top-rated quarterback, Hall, a couple weeks ago. So I think they can keep the game closer a little bit, but the Clemson is very explosive on offense. I just don't think they're going to be able to go score for score this time.
Virginia, as Ryan was saying, had 311 yards, 1 touchdown, one interception. One of their best receivers is Hassis Du Bois. He had 139 yards, 4 receptions. ESPN has given Clemson a 94.9% chance to win.
That seems about right, and that's probably they're my favorite in this game. The game's being played in Charlotte, not far from their campus. They'll still have a home field advantage. I just don't see this game, going beyond halftime being competitive.
The ACC championship should be a blowout, so we'll see what happens. Clemson has to live up to it, and if they win, they're in. But they're already in if they lose. But they're probably going to win, and they're in.
Yeah. Why take a chance, San Diego? Just win the game.
Exactly. You were talking about Utah. The Pac-12 college football playoff hopes rest on the Utah Utes. While other programs have shined in the spotlight, Utah ran rampant through its conference schedule to earn a spot in Friday's Pac-12 championship game against Oregon. Head coach Kyle Whittingham's team is looking to become the second Pac-12 South team to win the title clash, and in the process impress enough members of the selection committee to earn the number 4 seed in the final playoff rankings. Can Utah surpass Herbert and Oregon?
Yeah, this is probably the chance, of the Power 5 conferences. This is, I think, probably has a chance to be the best game. I think these two teams are evenly matched. Utah is just so fundamentally sound. They play right. Kyle Whittingham's an amazing coach. Makes the most of his talent. They have a strong defensive line. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Herbert and the Ducks. They're going to have to be balanced. If we have a good Herbert, this game's going to come down to the end. If we have a Herbert that played against Arizona State, the Utes will win this game. There's 2 games this year that really stand out when I think about Utah, and that's the Oregon game. Not Oregon, the USC game and the Washington game. Those 2 teams are very talented, more talent than Utah has on their roster, and USC really blew out Utah on a Friday night in the Coliseum with their third-string quarterback for much the whole game, and also Washington, had the game against Utah in hand until they kill themselves, with turnovers and bad play. Let Utah come back and win that game. So that really scares me if I'm thinking about Utah, is that they've really struggled against teams with elite talent. Oregon has some elite talent on their team. I don't know if there's elite talent as USC. I think, they will be soon, but, if Herbert plays up to his potential, if CJ Verdell gets going, running the ball, I really have a hard time, taking the Utes to win this game. But it's hard to go against a team that's played so well this year and really just, kind of hitting their stride. And it is a big deal, Utah coming over from, the group of five several years ago, it's taken some time to get their feet wet. Last year they made it to the Pac-12 championship game, with it. I don't think an overly talented team, and they played in one of the ugliest championship games I've ever seen, with only touchdown being a defensive touchdown for Washington. This is a much better team. Huntley's a good quarterback. Moss might be the best running back in the Pac-12. They don't have the overall elite talent, game breakers maybe per se, that the other teams vying for playoffs not have. But this team is well-rounded. They play together. In the end, I'm going with the Ducks to win this game.
Wow, Oregon Ducks, something that Tyler did not choose. I think he chose Utah. I got to double-check my records. Since suffering, the only loss that Utah had was against USC on September 20th. That's towards the beginning of the season. Utah has been one of the most dominant programs in the FBS. During their 8-game winning streak, the Utes outscored opponents 308-76 and held 5 foes to single digits. However, that might not be enough to create a separation between them and Oklahoma because of their lack of top 25 victories. That is why a commanding performance versus a top 15 team on a national stage is so important to Utah's playoff hopes. Huntley and Zach Moss are more than capable of gashing holes through Oregon defense that allowed 41 points over the last 2 weeks. Ryan, can Huntley and Zach Moss do it?
Absolutely, Santiago. As I'm picking Oregon, I'm telling you, Huntley is one of the most improved players in the Pac-12. Zach Moss, I think is, if not the best, one of the hardest players to bring down in the Pac-12 as a running back. He's strong, very talented running back. Those two players have got to bring their A game if Utah wants to win this game. And like you said,
go ahead.
To win into the playoffs, they're probably going to have to win this game by double digits because they're going to really, if they win this game, they're going to put some pressure on Oklahoma, not just to beat Baylor, but to beat Baylor by a lot.
Huntley completed 75% of his passes in each of the last 4 contests, and he enters Levi Stadium with 2,773 passing yards, 255 rushing yards, and 21 total touchdowns. Zach Moss, a player who does not get enough national attention as he deserves, earned at least 85 rushing yards in every October and November outing. Before running for 82 yards against Colorado on Saturday, the senior put together 4 straight triple-digit performances. Utah's defense ranks 3rd behind Ohio State and Clemson in yards allowed per game, and it leads the FBS in rushing yards conceded per contest at 56.3. Would that be enough to stop Oregon?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a team effort. The defense line's got to shut down Verdell running the ball and put pressure on Herbert. I think one of the most, position groups that really, I don't think should get up to the potential. That's the offensive line for Oregon. I've watched several of these games where I think not very talented offensive line. I'm really thinking about this game, the Washington State game, where I don't think Washington State has a very talented defense line. But they continuously put pressure on Herbert all through that game. This group was supposed to be dominating, and it just hasn't really week in and week out lived up to the potential. Utah, with those strong Polynesian connections, really brings, a lot of, the bulk strong to that defense line. That's going to be, one of the keys to the game. Which who wins the line of scrimmage on both sides. When neither team has the ball. Because if Moscow's going, controls the game, Utah doesn't want to play in a shootout. They want to play in a game where they're running the ball. Huntley makes plays when he has to, and they control the clock. I think Oregon is to win this game if it gets into a shootout.
The weakness, if you want to ever call it that, in the Utes defense is the 14th best passing defense that allows 105.3 passing yards per game. The pass rush is led by Bradley Ane, who had 12.5 sacks, and eight members of the secondary have an interception. If the Pac-12 South champion continues to play at a high level, Justin Herbert may not have time to settle into a rhythm, which he had issues with Arizona State. The Oregon senior has 31 touchdown passes, but 4 of his 5 interceptions and 9 of his 21 sacks suffered have come in the last month. If Ane and Co. pick apart the Oregon Ducks offensive line, Oregon may not able to establish a rushing attack through C.J. Verdell and Travis Dye. Limiting Oregon's output will allow the Utah offense to pile on the points against a defense that held one opponent to single digits since October 19th. So Utah has to do a lot of the defense, stop Herbert, but also score a lot. That's what we're trying to say. Ryan thinks Oregon has more advantage, and Oregon is probably going to win this match.
Yeah, Utah brings the intangibles, and I'm usually an intangible kind of guy when it comes to these games. They've proved it all year. You don't become 11-1 for nothing in a Power 5 conference. And I know Oregon, really, first game of the year, they dominated Auburn, and they literally let them off the hook the last quarter. And from then until 2 weeks ago against Arizona State, had really been playing great football, rolling. It was just one bad night in the desert, really.
Yeah, which a game a lot of people in the sportscast were like looking at that game pretty big, and we were thinking maybe Arizona State can pull this off.
Yeah, you got Arizona State a team that was really reeling going into that game, losing 4 straight. And really, we're kind of just thinking that the Ducks are going to roll right over them. There were. That this was eye-popping, just not to lose by getting really demolished by the Arizona State for most of that game until the very end, and Oregon kind of made it close. But you think that it kind of worries you when you pick the Ducks because you can see how, they don't play, they have that ability to have that off night. And we haven't seen an off night from Utah in a long time.
Since USC, September 20th.
Yeah. So I think
a lot has changed since.
Is that if Oregon stays focused, and I think they've been, they did that against Oregon State, played well, and Utah's down. There's the pressure of having a chance for the first time ever going to put up too much. I just think they haven't been in a situation. That's why all the analytics in my head just keep on pointing to Oregon winning this game.
ESPN's FPI has Oregon to win it by 51%.
Okay, so I mean, that's why I think that's why I think this is the game, the championship game. I'm really looking forward to, really, because it has the chance to be a classic.
It's probably the biggest game and the closest game this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, any one of these games can be close, and we're going to talk about them. But this, on paper, it just seems like it should be the closest.
The Ohio State Buckeyes and Wisconsin Badgers are familiar Big Ten championship game foes. Since the conference realigned to East and West, the two programs have made the most appearances from their respective divisions. Ohio State won the last 2 Big Ten titles and conquered Wisconsin in 2014 and 17. The Badgers are looking for their first victory in 4 tries and are looking to become the first champion out of the Big Ten West. Ohio State is number 1 in the country right now. Some consider they're the best talent in the country as well, and they possibly are better than LSU. How do you see this matchup?
It's hard to go against Ohio State right now. Santiago, they're just rolling what a great regular season the Buckeyes had, steamrolling pretty much everybody in their conference. Especially last week, there was quite a trend to go and pick Michigan in this game, and what did they do? They just go and blow the doors right off the Wolverines. This is a rematch from a game played on October 26th where the Buckeyes took a fairly close game in the middle of the third quarter and just blew out the Buckeyes. Blew out the Badgers. But this game being played in Indianapolis is kind of helping, kind of gearing towards, Wisconsin keeping this game close. Wisconsin coming off a great victory over Minnesota last week in the Paul Bunyan's Axe game. I don't think Wisconsin has enough talent to keep the Buckeyes on the wrap of 4 quarters. I just think this is going to be a fourth quarter game where Wisconsin keeps it within 1 score. But I think Justin Fields and the Buckeyes and J.K. Dobbins just have just too much around. I think it ends up being about a 14 to 21 point game, but close going into the fourth quarter.
Ohio State's head coach, Ryan Day, enters with a college football playoff berth on the line, while Wisconsin is potentially playing for its first Rose Bowl berth since 2013. Ohio State started in the enforcer role in the October 26th meeting with Wisconsin. In the 38-7 win, the Buckeyes produced 431 total yards and held the Badgers to 191 yards. Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins accounted for each of the 5 Ohio State touchdowns, but they were not the most dominant players on the field that day.
No, Chase Young, Santiago, was a beast. That's where he started getting a lot of his publicity, was after that Wisconsin game.
Of course, this is a championship game, but it feels like Ohio State has it in the bag, but it will not be a blowout. It will be by a touchdown, you say. Which
I think it goes into the fourth quarter being a touchdown or around there game. I just feel like in the fourth quarter the talent, the cream will rise to the top, and I just don't think the Badgers got enough around them. Jonathan Taylor is a tremendous running back, maybe the best in college football, but he got held in check against Ohio State. Because Ohio State what they can do is they got enough talent on their back end to really just put everybody in the box and force Wisconsin to throw the ball, which is not their strong suit.
Ohio State beat Wisconsin on October 26, 38-7. That tells you a lot. That doesn't mean what happened again. It would be a closer matchup this time around, but Ohio State definitely has beaten this season. Ryan and I think it's Ohio State all the way, but the game has to be played, no matter what.
The game has to be played, Santiago, and like you said, maybe Ohio State's got that mentality that they can lose this game and still get to the playoffs. You said Wisconsin really wants to go to the Rose Bowl, and that's a great honor. So that's why I think for at least part of this game, it's going to be a close ball game.
It'll be a very close ball game, of course. And, if Wisconsin wins, they go to the Rose Bowl, a very prestigious bowl game. This Saturday's Big 12 championship game will be a rematch of a thrilling November clash between Baylor and Oklahoma. The Sooners have mowed down just about all positions this season thanks to another year of the offensive dominance, as well as an improved defense. But a road loss to Kansas State caused them to fall well outside of the college football playoffs and the polls that followed. However, they fought their way back into the national title discussion by beating Baylor at McLean Stadium. Now they're not like they're back in the Big 12 championship game yet again. Can they beat Baylor again, Ryan?
Oh, they can definitely beat Baylor again. It was definitely a tale of two halves last game. Baylor came out, played great defense, had a great scheme. But the second half, Baylor only had 16 offensive plays, Santiago, and their defense just wore down, and Jalen Hurts pulled off some magic, kind of vintage Jalen Hurts in that second half. While he struggled in the first half with ball security and fumbling. The second half, he was spectacular. That game was played without C.D. Lamb, so hopefully he'll be back on the field Saturday for the Sooners. I just think Baylor, this team is special, Santiago. This team 2 years ago was 1-11, and now they're 11-1. What a turnaround! What a coach, Matt Rule. What a not. They may not win this game, but hopefully, win or lose, that they'll be in definitely in New Year's 16, representing, the progress this program has made. Charlie Brewer, hopefully he's healthy. He got nicked up a couple weeks ago in Texas, but this team rolled last week against Kansas 61-6. They're just an overall just a really sound fundamental football team. Mims on the outside is a great wide receiver. They got to be able to get him the ball as much as possible Saturday to keep them in the game.
The Baylor Bears has been one of the biggest surprises in all of college football. Had they beaten Oklahoma in the regular season matchup, there's little doubt that a Big 12 title win would propel them into the college football playoffs. But at this point, even beating Oklahoma and claiming the Big 12 title may not be enough. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. The committee has basically put a pecking order of Georgia, Utah, Oklahoma, Baylor. So obviously, if they beat Oklahoma, they'll move up. But so if the other two teams lose and they win, they're probably going to get in.
ESPN's computer model believes that Oklahoma has this game on lock. The computer model gives the Sooners a 69.4% chance to win this Saturday's game.
And that's probably where I'm at. I think Baylor will give a great effort. They're going to lay it all on the field. And I think it comes down to the fourth quarter about playmakers. Jalen Hurts, he's got that it factor, Santiago, and I just can't go against him.
Jalen Hurts, potentially a Heisman candidate, might return to the playoffs with a different team. I don't know if any other player has ever done that before.
No, they haven't, Santiago. I don't know if they make it to the playoffs. They're they got it. They don't control their own destiny, but they have to control what they can control, and that's beating Baylor on Saturday, putting on a good show. Maybe if Utah wins by a field goal later, and then they end up beating Baylor by 21 plus points, maybe that's enough to show the committee that they're that they deserve to be in over Utah if they both win. But I think the only way they get in if they both win is that they have to really crush
and also Oregon to beat Utah.
That's what I mean. If they both win, the only way that they're going to get in is by crushing Baylor. But if Utah loses, then I think all they have to do is win.
The LSU Tigers and the Georgia Bulldogs will square off in the SEC title game, where the winner is a lock for the playoffs. Although Alabama is out of the race, there remains a possibility that two SEC teams make the playoffs. If Georgia takes down LSU this weekend, both the Bulldogs and Tigers have a strong case to make the playoffs. What are your thoughts over this matchup?
Yeah, Georgia controls its own destiny. Really, I mean, they're just one play away from both. If Georgia beats South Carolina, then this game really just is playing for seeding because I think they both would be in the playoffs. But seeing Georgia did lose at South Carolina, they definitely still have to win this game. They don't have to, I don't think they have to, win by a lot, but they just have to win. I just don't think they're going to win. I think she has just got so much offense, and I think the last month it showed that Georgia, they're just not clicking offensively the way that we all thought they were going to.
According to the ESPN FBI, LSU has a 55.7% chance to take down Georgia next weekend. That gives the Bulldogs a 44.3% chance to pull the upset. LSU enters the game as a 5.5 favorite, though that line could change during the week. A few days. Georgia features the more formidable defense, but the Tigers boast one of the most lethal offenses in the country. What is your final prediction?
I think LSU wins. That's interesting that it's only a 55% chance. I think in that how good LSU. I mean, they did beat by 40 points the other night. I mean, that's the same Texas A&M team that brought Georgia to the wire a week before. I think Georgia's offense is struggling right now. Jake Fromm isn't playing, as good as he could be, but doesn't mean he can't play. He's a gamer, and I think he's going to bring his best effort. They got to be able to run the ball at Santiago. They got to be able to keep Joe Burrow off the field. I just think there's just no one right now, the way LSU is playing, that can slow them down. They got so many weapons, and they're just playing at just an elite level.
And there you have it. That is our college football preview special. Let me recap what Ryan predicted. He predicts Clemson to beat Virginia single-handedly. He picks Oregon to narrowly beat Utah. He picks Ohio State to beat Wisconsin by a touchdown in the fourth quarter. He has Oklahoma beating Baylor by a lot. And he has LSU beating Georgia by a lot as well.
Yeah, that's how it rolls, It's my, final, thoughts here about some other matchups. Shout out to the Appalachian State Mountaineers as they go for a 12-1 season, Santiago.
App State.
Yeah, this is a team that beat both North Carolina and South Carolina. It just, the way, unfortunately, even a win against in their championship game probably leads them going to the New Orleans Bowl, which obviously doesn't bring much hype to that. Also, games to note, Memphis and Cincinnati in the American Championship. The winner, if Memphis wins, they're definitely going to be the representative for the group of 5 in the playoffs. And a Cincinnati win and a Boise State win will probably leave Boise State representing the group of 5 in the playoffs, or in the New Year's 6.
New Year's 6, and there you have it. That's our college football segment of the show. NFL. Ron Rivera got fired yesterday. Was that a surprise to you from the Carolina Panthers?
Not a surprise he got fired. The timing of it definitely surprised me. I think a coach of his stature, I think he deserves to at least finish out the year. But I think all signs are pointing them to clean house. They're going to start over. Wouldn't be surprised if they draft a quarterback in the upcoming draft, and then move on from Cam Newton.
Were you impressed with Drew Lock's first start and win with the Denver Broncos this past Sunday against the Chargers?
I was excited, Santiago. It's a new era for the Broncos. He played a really good first half. Second half, they lost their momentum. The Chargers came back, and really the difference was Drew Lock's arm strength throwing pretty much a Hail Mary to Cortland Sutherland in the last play of the game, which led to a pass interference and the game-winning field goal.
There you have it. Broncos their future is looking bright. Things are hoping Flacco it seems like he's on his way out, or maybe just sticking around to be a mentor, have a mentor type of
No,
role.
He's on his way out.
Peterson.
He's probably already sold he's probably out of his apartment in Denver.
Washington coach Peterson stepped down this week. He'll have an advisory role. How much of an impact would that be for Washington?
I don't. Well, they're retaining Jimmy Lake, who is, if they didn't retain Jimmy Lake, soon he was going to be somebody else's coach. I think it was us. Coach Peterson's a different cat. I think he liked the low profile of Boise, the expectations, and I think he wanted to get a shot at coaching, in the Power 5, and he had a lot of success at Washington. 3 New Year's 6 bowl games, but I just think he was done with all the pressure. And I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of surfaces again in the group of 5 here next year. So
we'll definitely be looking at what's going on in Washington. Peterson, a very good coach, one of the best top coaches in the country. But of course, college football comes in stress when you're when you're working it. So sometimes some people can handle it. Sometimes you need a break. So we'll see what happens. Game predictions. Are you ready?
Let's go for it.
Obviously, we predicted college football already. Let's go NFL. Cowboys at the Bears.
Absolutely must win for the Cowboys. I think they're going to roll over the Bears.
Indianapolis at Bay.
The Colts really need this game, but the Buccaneers are just a tough out right now. They're not going to the playoffs, but they, when their defense plays well, they're a tough team to beat because their offense will score points. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers in this game.
Ravens visit the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen.
Oh, man, Western New York is a buzz right now about this game, Santiago. most important regular season game in Buffalo in years. So very excited about this game. I think the Bills defense will be able to neutralize Jackson. I think it will be kind of a lot like the game they played last week against the 49ers, but I think the Bills kick a last-second field goal to win the game.
Detroit and Minnesota. Minnesota,
after a tough loss on Monday night, really needs a game. Detroit's kind of melded in the season. With Matt Stafford probably not coming back this season, so I'm going to say the Vikings win this game.
The Vikings. Broncos at the Texans.
Do I go with my head or my heart, Santiago? My head says there's no way the Broncos with Drew Lock go into beat the Texans after watching them beat the Patriots the other night, but usually I go with my heart, and that's why I'm going to go with the Broncos.
The Broncos win in Denver. San Francisco 49ers, Garoppolo at the Saints, Drew Brees.
Another marquee matchup. This will be a fun game to watch. I think the 49ers bounce back and beat the Saints.
Miami at the Jets.
Oh, this is a game very important for draft status coming up. I think, the front office of the Dolphins is telling Ryan Fitzpatrick not to play as good a game this week again. They had a great effort last week against the Eagles, but I'm going to go with the Jets to bounce back and win this game.
Carolina at Atlanta with their new coach.
Under intern coach Perry Fuel, I'm going to go with the Panthers coming up with this victory.
Kansas City at the Patriots.
Huge game in the AFC landscape. The Chiefs coming up and, crushing the Raiders last week, and the Patriots, losing to the Texans to see if they rebound. I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Chiefs. I got a feeling Chiefs are going to win that one. Chargers at the Jags.
The Jags recently just demoted Nick Foles back to the bench, promoted Gardner Minshew as a permanent starter for the rest of this year. I think the Jags come up with this victory.
Titans at Oakland.
Titans, the game, with huge playoff implications. I think the Titans win this game.
And finally, Seahawks at the Rams. NFC West matchup.
Huge game for the Rams to stay in the playoffs, so I'm going to say they're going to win this game.
And random question is National Cookie Day, Ryan. What is your favorite cookie? Chocolate chip, sugar cookie, snickerdoodle, or oatmeal?
I might be a plain Jane, but I'm always going to say sugar cookie.
Sugar cookie is up at 25%. Chocolate chip cookie at 25%. Snickerdoodle at 17%. And all surprisingly, oatmeal cookie is winning by 33%.
That is surprising.
So
usually it doesn't matter. I like all types of cookies.
go on the Twitter, it's the Sportscast1, to vote. What is your favorite cookie right now? Oatmeal cookie is winning by far. So I guess people are going. It's not healthier, but it tastes just not as fun as like a chocolate chip or a sugar or even a snickerdoodle. But oatmeal cookie has raisins in it, so that's probably like the main ingredient. Ryan, what is the best way to reach you to talk to you about Huntley from Utah?
Mad Dog Report 18 on Twitter, Santiago.
And of course, which bowl will the Gators most likely go to?
It looks like either the Orange or the Sugar Bowl right now, Santiago.
That's a win-win.
We came in at ninth on this week's college football playoff, which looks like we'll avoid playing a group of 5 teams. It probably would be Memphis and the Cotton Bowl. But you never know until Sunday afternoon, Santiago. We'll all see.
And where's Liberty University Flames football team going to be playing in their first bowl?
Right now, there is 78 bowl spots. And there are 79 bowl-eligible teams. Somebody's not going to be happy at the end of the day. And all signs lead to Liberty not being happy. But if they are going to get in, they're going to have to get in the Cure Bowl.
Well, there you have it. Liberty is bowl eligible. Had a first good season with Freeze. Freeze is not rumored to leave, even though there's rumors out there. But hopefully he'll stay with Liberty to enjoy another season, to take this team to the top. And Gil Turner was at the game this past weekend.
Yeah, he's the one who decided to pass us a couple years ago to get us in the FBS. So it's nice to kind of the old reuniting with the new.
There you have it. You can visit us on thesportscast.net for the latest and greatest. A lot going on in football news this week. A lot of coach changes, a lot of new hires, a lot of rumors, speculations. Lane Kiffin has not been hired yet. Mike Leach hasn't been hired yet. We thought it will happen by Tuesday. It hasn't happened yet. So keep an eye out on our website or go on Twitter, the Sportscast1 on Twitter. We'll be having Kailu tomorrow, talk a little bit about the NBA, maybe some college basketball, which is another topic Ryan could talk about, but we don't have time for that. And then on Friday, we'll have Jeff Farrer in the studio. No, not in the studio, but he'll be in the show talking about Kansas City, New England, the biggest game this weekend in NFL pro football. So things are gearing up in December. Things don't get easy in December. You think it does, but it doesn't in college football. But things are ramping up, Ryan.
It's a humongously important time, Santiago. A couple more weeks we'll be hitting the hardwood, talking a lot of college basketball and NBA. But right now, focus is on the gridiron.
The gridiron is definitely concluding who will be the best teams in the world, because no one else plays this in the world but the CFL. But these are the best football athletes in the world. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, Ryan, always a pleasure. And stay warm in Rochester.
We'll need to, as I'm looking out my window, seeing all those nice snowflakes coming down.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.